Everybody is back and no surprises on the injury front, right?
No, yeah, everybody's back. Everybody feeling good.
What are the well when the guys are away for international duty and you have a game, an important game coming up? How do you communicate with them about scouting reports, and do you send them film of training, and what all goes into that process?
We always upload training to a platform where everybody can watch. I try to be really respectful of their time with their national team, especially in important games. That it's a real honor to get to play for your national team, and especially the big games that these guys have gone and played in. So I really don't try to mess with them there. They're getting their information from their coaches and try to be respectful of their process. But also I try to wish them luck, or sometimes just leave them to their own different ways. But I definitely don't overload them with information from back here. We, as soon as they get back, we catch them up to speed and go about our normal process.
Okay, so just so I'm understanding, they do have access to watch things, but you don't push them to do so.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
no. If they said, "Hey, can you put something else on the platform?" No problem. Put any kind of meeting or videos up there that they might need.
So, how would you describe this process then of trying to prepare for Orlando when you've had several starters out for international duty and a couple of them only for like two training sessions now?
It's great. It's a great situation to be in. Like, our guys are playing in their national teams. I told them that's an honor. Like, I look at it as an awesome situation for them to go play with their national teams, for guys here to get the training they need. So we're in the position of being in the playoffs. The international break happened. It doesn't affect us in that way. Of the guys that were here got to train and work towards the goal of playing the next game. The ones that were away got their chances to represent their countries, and also now they're back and fully healthy. That's the big thing. But yeah, starter, non-starter, like, everybody's a valued member of the team, and we've seen that in the playoffs. We've seen that down the stretch, that anyone can be called at any time. So we just prepare the team as best we can.
Does it help that y'all just played Orlando a couple of weeks ago, and so there's still some muscle memory and remembrances there?
Yeah, I mean, it's every game is different. Like, the playoffs are a different, whole different beast. They've been very consistent. They've been really good, even on the last day going up into playing them. Like, they've been consistent in who they are. They've been one of the better teams in the later stages of the league. So I don't know how much it helps, or they forget the games anyways quickly as they go. And I feel like this is almost like a whole nother mini season again. So we just give them reminders as we get closer.
Another road win against Miami. That's, I don't know, 5 out of the last 6 or something like that. What has been the key to that success this late in the season?
I mean, there's not there's not one thing. It's just being collective efforts together and really having our own internal belief. It's not that's not a tactical answer in that way, but we have a belief in ourselves that, again, the home and away, it shouldn't affect them in the ways that people might think, because we talked about blocking out the noise anyways. And that's, again, I've said this before, like, at home we want to hopefully bring energy to the crowd, and that noise then goes from there. It's not the other way around. It shouldn't be them bringing energy to the guys. Like, they should have their own intrinsic motivation and own intrinsic energy. So home or away shouldn't affect that.
Orlando has a number of options at striker. How have y'all been preparing for that?
I mean, they're very, very dangerous in their front half. They've made, I would say, relatively similar substitutions as games have gone. They do similar things. They have different qualities in each individual, so we prepared to play their team. And then, as individuals have different qualities, we've talked about those qualities and how we can put them in different areas, or avoid them playing the balls in certain areas, or different runs, just like any other team, really. But they have a lot of quality, that one that starts the game and also can help them finish the game.
There were moments against Miami where Sabo, in a new position, maybe didn't recognize space behind him, or there was opportunities where he would get forward, there was space behind him. What have you been telling him as far as kind of understanding when to get forward and when to cover that space?
Yeah, I mean, he has this high alertness. Like, especially against Miami, it was a whole different scenario of the way they play on that left side. We knew that they would create. They've done it all year long. So even the best defenders in the league, and I'm not discrediting Saba in his defending, but just the best defenders in the league have had difficulty dealing with it. So whether he's in a higher position, we've talked about how we deal with the defensive transition moments with the back line, or midfielders covering those areas, and tracking runners becomes really important. So it's not only his job, but it becomes the job of the team of covering for each other.
You talk about transition moments against Miami. Obviously, there were plenty of transition moments against a back line that wasn't all that organized. Orlando probably going to be a little more tactical discipline. So if those transition moments aren't there in the same way, kind of what's plan B to attack Orlando?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's one way to attack them. Is how you go from defense to attack transition. But the other part is about how we can be useful and intentional with the ball. Whether it's longer spells of possession or it's more direct balls in behind. There's different areas where we think we can hurt them. So it won't just be playing. This isn't just playing on the counter, but it is. I feel like a strength of some of the players on this team.
How important will it be on Sunday to control play in the midfield going up against Orlando?
Excuse me, going up against
Orlando.
Orlando. Oh, yeah, of course, really important. No matter who plays, like I'd say, four of those guys that are competing for those spots. Whether we play with two or three in midfield, it becomes really important. They've got really good midfielders as well. So, Sam touched on the front players, but they've got a good team, and so it'll be the midfield's just one of the battles that we'll have to obviously try to win and limit them from doing things, but also exploit in different ways with whether it's three or two or a fourth midfielder in there in some ways.
What about Dax McCarty, just his contributions and also managing him? You see starts some matches, he come off the bench, but how's been just managing his workload and having him at peak condition for this time of season?
Yeah, in terms of the second part of the question, he knows his body better than any of us. He's played for almost 20 years, and so it's having open and honest conversation with him about how he's feeling and making sure we don't need him to train every second of every training session. He needs to feel fresh and ready to go for the games, whether that's in a substitution role or a role that's starting. So he's been great in that term in terms of how we can manage him through the sessions, and he's been available for him. So that's availability of training sessions is important. And then the games are being available for the games, and his leadership is one second to none. He's got experience. He's been in these tough scenarios before, so we're really relying on guys like that, and his experience has been helpful.
Rob, you talk about the belief in the team. FEA, what was the genesis of that?
Just goes down to a lot of different things. I laugh just because it's not the. You guys have known me long enough now. As the words, like the actual word, is probably not something you would say that sums Rob up, but it was something that I had seen a long time ago in the Patriots documentary with Tom Brady, and I thought the way he said it, I was like, I can feel it. I can understand what that might feel like, and he's on the top end of what sport, and they were on the top end of dominating team sports, and he was still being criticized. So it came down to a thing of no matter if they tell you you're good or bad, it really shouldn't matter what they say or anyone says. It's about what you guys believe in your own locker rooms and what you see actually happening. So it's having a realistic look at it and not letting things from the outside distract you. So it is funny to see everyone kind of get behind it. The choice words are not always the best, but I think it's great that everybody is behind one message at least.
Was part of the reason that rang true to you because you were seeing something different on the training field or even some of the games where you weren't necessarily getting the results and you kind of wanted the team to just believe in the way that they were playing?
Yeah, we've been trying to get them to believe in themselves. So I wouldn't say it was like a light bulb moment of like, hey, this is those things aren't planned out. It's not like I'm just going to say this and this is going to catch, and it's not the way it works, right? But I think that myself, the staff, we've seen something in the group, and this has been all year long, that there's something there. Sam's touched on it before. I think when I can remember being here at the beginning of June and him saying about when's essentially the luck going to turn, almost like with some of the data points and things like that. So we feel like it's been there, but something needed to click. And that belief, it can only start with us, because if we start relying on the outside or external factors, that only lasts so long. And I'm just a big believer in that they're never as bad as they say, you're never as good as they say. So you stay with what you're doing and what you see, and having realistic, honest conversation and holding each other accountable.
Do you think it helped this team in the Miami series to actually be the big underdogs against like the big bad team and just having that mentality going into it?
Maybe. I think anyone that would have played them would have been the underdog. Right? They were the best team the league has ever seen. So whether that helped them or I'm not sure if that was it, or maybe it was us playing them earlier in the year and getting the win. I think that gives them some confidence that you can do it. And then as the games go, players will get confidence in different moments. And I think that as they saw, I can vividly remember in the first game, we were able to play on the ball a little bit more, and I think they almost surprised themselves, like, oh, we can do this. It's like, yeah, you can, of course. So I think as moments in games pop up like that, they start to get some belief again in themselves.
Do you feel like this is a team that's kind of been playing with that kind of freeing feeling of we got nothing to lose here, we kind of got in on decision day, and we're just playing with house money at this point?
I've heard that phrase. I think Dax uses that a lot. I've always told them, like, there's nothing to lose. Don't play with a fear of failure, because you'll be timid, you'll make mistakes. And since I've been around them, I've always told them, like, I don't care if they make mistakes. It's about the reaction after that. I'd hope that they're not saying, like, hey, we got in by chance. It's not by chance. You stay persistent. We got in. I can't help that we needed those things to happen and we won the game, because people could say that's luck, but if we had to just win the Orlando game and we didn't need anything else to go our way, people would say, well, they got in the playoffs. So it is what it is. We got in the playoffs, and how we got in there, it doesn't matter at this point. So that's irrelevant, and now we push forward of how we're going to continue to advance.
As a manager, does the fact that this is a single game elimination kind of change the way that you think about the game and set up the team in any sort of way compared to Miami?
No, they've all felt like that to me. Obviously, I think I touched on this the first time we played Miami, that we knew we had 2 games at least, and then after that, they would knock out games from there. So, but the mentality was to try to always win those games. The only thing I would say is different is that we know that there is an extra 30 minutes if it stays tied, and then it goes to penalties. So that will be, if the game is calling for that, then we have to look at how we make substitutions. But we're always there the outcome has never changed for me about how we win the game or wanting to win the game. Just how we get there, it might be in different ways.
Now that you've been in charge of 4 playoff games, experience before, but being in charge of 4, is there anything that jumps out to you about how different they are and what's essential to success?
The game is the same, which, like, it's funny because you watch all the other playoff games and you see little things that teams are doing differently. I think it's just the importance of each play, and I love that we've been touching on that for so long now, that each moment, each action is really important, because now it is, for everybody, it is you win or go home. So that one action that you switch off for a second, and that could be a goal against you or a goal for you. So that's really been the only thing that's really changed, but it doesn't change my approach of how I see the game. They're still the same games, and try to put the same importance on all those things anyways.
Oscar Briazzi. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The importance of your leadership style, your motivation style, because a lot of players comment on that, you and your staff being closer to them, taking consideration what they think. How much importance is that on the result you're getting?
The result, I don't know, but for me, it's the foundation. Understanding our players, understanding each other, having empathy, or just having an understanding of who we're dealing with. I think that's important. Yeah, I think, like, no matter what, if you know more about somebody, you're willing to give more. And I don't do it because I want more out of them on the field. They should want that themselves anyways, but I think it helps. And the same on the other end. If they know more about me, they're going to be willing to give more for myself or the rest of the staff, and it just adds more to it. But I think it's the foundation of the way I operate, the way we operate as a staff. It's the way I want to enjoy people in general, so it seems like a no-brainer that why not get to know people to a different level, and then we'll all enjoy the moments that we're having.
You did officially interview for the managerial job?
Mm-hmm.
How did that go?
Yeah, you got to ask somebody else.
How would you describe Oscar Briazzi?
Oscar Briazzi. Tactically? The team tactically?
The
Very good on the ball, different movements and rotations, aggressive, intense. If I use like almost buzzwords like that, he's done such a great job in this league to peak at the right times, and you see his team do it again, and they're always dangerous. So I enjoy competing against him because you know what you're going to get every single time. So yeah, he's a great coach. Fantastic to go up against and challenge myself.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck.